Dude, I've been on a Legends contract since 2003. That's almost 20 years, bro. Right. I've been getting quarterly checks. So I did something right when I was there. And here's the kicker. To be not that I had a bad attitude, but it credit to me to just be out there having fun and doing what you can, the best you can, and to be put in the Hall of Fame for that is great. And I used to say, well, they'll never put me in the Hall of Fame because, you know, of a pimp and this and that, that's and that. But then I start looking about, there's a reason that I've been on a Legends contract for 20 years because my characters weren't legendary, but people will remember them forever. You're going to remember Papa Shango and making the Ultimate Warrior throw up. You're going to remember the Nation of Domination. And you're sure the hell going to remember the Godfather. And that's, I think, even 10, 20 years from now, you'll still remember. You remember that Godfather dude that came out with the girls? You know, it's so very memorable characters. And that, I mean, this year alone, I mean, one of the biggest accomplishments you can make with a Legends contract or anything like that is to be put in their video games. That's hard to get in that video game. I'm in it every year. And I think this year I'm in there as 2 characters, Papa Shango and Godfather. So, I mean, you know how many characters they have to choose from to put in that game for them to put me in it twice?
For them to narrow it down and have you as the select. I mean, it's
amazing.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah.
I'm just grateful and blessed.
I've heard from other wrestlers that they were actually getting paid more with certain figures and other payouts than they were with the matches.
I told, the last 3 years of my contract, I had to go through JR, okay? And I threw JR threw a number at me, and I threw a much bigger number at him. I'm like, JR, you could make that money back just off of my merchandise. You know it, and I know it. And then they went ahead and gave me the number that I wanted, but it was true. Your merchandise. The thing was, back then, they didn't have social media. They didn't have the avenues to order merchandise like they do now. And so to sell your merchandise, you had to be in the building. And there was only 5 or 6 shirts that they had room for in the building. Stone Cold, Undertaker, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. I mean, they all had their shirt. So to get in there, you had to be lucky. And I got in there as the Godfather and stayed in there the whole time. And so it was pretty cool. I mean, just memorable characters. And like I said, even though I was having fun, I did the best job I could do with each character that I had. Even the Goodfather, who I can't stand. Yeah. I hated it because they took the Godfather away from me. Yeah. And the hose. I remember telling Vince, he was telling me what they were going to do with the right to censor, and I'm like, so I wasn't even listening. I'm like, so no more hose? And he's like, no, Charles, no more hose. And he'd say some more stuff, so I'd say, so no more hose? He'd say, Charles, no more. He'd say, no more hose, no more hose. And I was like, well, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. When you were put in these video games, did you have to go into anything where they like do any moves? Were they like on the green screen, or did they do it all themselves? Do you remember?
I did it. I did some of that stuff years ago, but I haven't done nothing lately. So they probably have. But back in the day, you had to go in green screen, and you had to go through all the moves, and yeah. But that was many years ago. But yeah, it was fun. I think, in my studio at home, my wife one day is like, "Baby, you should put all your figures up on the wall." And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I don't have that many. She goes, you have more than you think you have. Well, after I put them up all on the wall, from Papa Shango, Godfather, Goodfather, Kama Mustafa, Nation of Domination, all that, I had 16 different action figures. And I'm like, it's very humbling now when I go in my office and I look on that wall. It's so humbling to say, wow, for a mid-carder, I didn't do too bad, man, to have that many action figures.
Do you remember like your biggest payouts in wrestling?
No, I've had some really big royalty checks, but my biggest payoff, I don't know, mine was probably 100 grand, 125 grand. I never made the millions on a payout. You're looking at me like, that's pretty good, but I'm like, probably 100 grand, 120 grand was probably my biggest working payoff. But your royalty checks could be way up there too.
Yeah, especially when it accumulates like that, and
when they're pushing stuff, it accumulates quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I made good money, but it wasn't even about that for me. I was making money other ways. I had the strip club.